Hello again, and thank you for week 2 of Lunch with Lisa. I'm Lisa Nickerson. I'm the CEO of Nickerson, a full-service marketing public relations firm based in Boston with an office in Miami, but we serve clients all over the country. So thank you for coming. The purpose of our webinars, as you may know, 25 minutes, a forced lunch break. It's an opportunity for you to join us, learn something new, and refresh your brain for the rest of the day. I also want to thank everybody who sent me all of the messages last week about how much you learned, how much you enjoyed it, and how much you're looking forward to it. Our guests are getting more and more exciting, and we have a heck of a lineup this week. Lastly, also, I want to thank my sponsor, Spark Technologies. They have been RIT for years. We love them. Everybody is just needing and relying on their IT provider right now. So if your company is having any challenges with being remote, please call Spark Technologies. We have links to them, and they are your go-to. So I want to introduce my guest for today, Jen Welter, often referred to as Coach Jen, best known as the first female coach in the first female coach in the NFL. You also joined the Arizona. I'm talking too fast. I got to just slow it down. It's Monday.
Breathe.
You were the first.
Into your nose, out through your mouth.
That's right. The first female coach to coach in the NFL when you joined the Arizona Cardinals as an inside linebackers coach in 2015. Prior to that, Coach Jen was the linebackers coach with the Texas Revolution. And you were also the coach of the inaugural Australian women's national team. You're the author of Play Big Lessons in Being Limitless, from the first woman to coach in the NFL. You also have a nail polish called Kick Glass that I want you to tell us more about. You have the Gridiron Girls, which is football team camps for young women to build confidence through football. And you have a gold medal from the International Federation of American Football in the very first women's championship. So, Jen, take it from here.
Oh, it's so good to be here with you today. Appreciate the beautiful buildup and what you're doing to give everybody just a little food for the soul. It's awesome to be here. And when I have good friends tell me like that you lifted their spirits, I had to be here. And, it's that BC thing too. We got a little alumni connection. So shout out to all the Eagles.
That's great. So when we were talking earlier, there were several things, and please, everybody, feel free to be in the chat and ask questions. We're going to be pretty free flow today. We do have our one poll, which I will always have this poll every day, no matter what. And I hope that you're all answering it. And there's a lot of you out there today. So please answer the poll, and I'm going to close it in a few minutes. But how are you managing working from home? I love it. I hope I can work from home forever. It's working pretty well for now, and I can't wait to get back to the office. And we track this every day to see just how people are doing. But one of the reasons I wanted Dr. Jen on so badly is that, you coach for greatness, right? Helping people find their greatness. And right now, people aren't feeling great. They're frustrated. They're having a tough time. They're in a rut. They're trying to figure out what they're doing. You and I talked a lot about this. And I just loved when you and I were free flow talking. What are some of the things that you're seeing with people that has to do with fear and chaos, and how can they help come out of it and reset themselves to find their greatness back again?
When I say like greatness is a choice, I mean that because it's not some big monstrous thing. I think too often we get like, caught up in the idea of like, I got to move a mountain. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, if you're going to move a mountain, you actually have to move a lot of pebbles. So can you move a pebble today? Right. And so if we give ourselves little bits of goodness, then we can create momentum, both in terms of progress, in terms of seeing something get done, and also like psychologically. So most of us, like our lives have been so chaotic and so crazy and so go for so long that we would go, oh gosh, I just wish I had some time. And now you have time. Now, it may not be under the situation that you would have asked for. I guess that's with like all of us, when the genie said, be very careful what you wish for, because now you've got it. But when you've got it, what are you going to do with it? And it doesn't have to be grandiose, but what it does have to do is to give you something to focus on every day. Our mind can only hold one thought at a time. So if you are putting your energy into that, you're not looking at all of the things that might be wrong. Let's find one thing that we can do right now. And
Jen, jump in real quick there. That's a really important statement. And I remember I wrote it down when you said it earlier. Our brain can only hold one thought at a time. So it's really important to focus on what those thoughts are. And when we focus on the fear and we focus on the angry and the frustrated, that's where we stay.
And I always tell people, I'm like, when we talk about like who is resilient and who are mentally tough, what that means is actually not that they never have a moment where their mind goes to the dark side of the street. It's just how quickly they get back. So are you going to be upset for a minute, for an hour, for a day? Or is it going to be this whole time when you're like, oh, why is this happening to me? Right? So the quicker we can transition our mind back into something else, the better we're going to be. One of the things that athletes do really well, and they probably don't even know why we do it, is we use theme songs. We have a playlist. So every single one of you needs to develop your personal playlist right now. One of my favorites, ladies, is frankly Alu Black, I'm the Man. Because if you listen to it, it has nothing to do with woman or man. It's like, I got this. But it's also really funny to say that that's your personal soundtrack. And the good thing about that is, and we've all done this, so you know it instinctively. We've all had that moment where we didn't feel good. We were cranky or we were overrun or we had no energy and this song comes on and you try and resist it at first, but all of a sudden you find yourself like bopping your head. You need it now more than ever. So create that personal playlist and give yourself little chunks of greatness to do every day. And that means just move one obstacle out of your way. You now have time, which means to use that time, you have to clear your mind and get yourself in a good frame of reference. I know a lot of people are feeling overwhelmed because they've now become not only business person, but also homeschooler and 24/7, no on-off switch with family and a confined space. So what we have to do is learn how to shift gears and learn how to enlist help. Really tough, especially for women when we are used to being all things to all people at all times. Time to enlist some help, be strategic. And when you're doing something, fully invest yourself in it. And let's make selfish not a bad word. Let's make it an actually like great word. Because every single one of you needs a permission to be selfish, meaning that just take a little time for self, because if you're not good to yourself, you can't be good to anybody else. So if that's, working out for 15 minutes in the morning to jumpstart your endorphins and your energy so you can be a better mom, better business person, better everything to everyone, then you need to take it and you need to set those ground rules.
I love that in the chat, people are putting up all their favorite songs that are your, that they use for that. So I think that's great. And I love the engagement from people. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, we may have to consolidate this list in your follow-up email and give everybody the personal playlist to share. I think that would be awesome.
I think that's a great idea. I hope my team just heard that and they can prep that for the follow-up email. We will be sending out a follow-up email.
Thanks.
So what?
I said I just gave your team more work. Thanks.
No, they love all this extra work. Trust me. This is my daily shout out and thank you to my team who's been working around the clock to make this webinar a reality. But every time we get one of these emails in about how much people love it, it's totally worth it. Let's see. So some things again that we were talking about, finding that inner calm, how important it was, even for you as a coach. You found that when you made sure you found that time for you, then you were a better coach for everybody else. I think that's important for everybody to hear because just like you said, sometimes we don't take that time and find ways to alleviate that mental pressure. Another thing that you talked about is that need for
if we're not used to putting ourselves on the list of things to do, that's another thing. This is a really quick, easy mental shift that will help you. If you are a list person, okay, then what you need to do is put yourself on your list of things to do, because then you'll cross something off that list and feel good about it. Otherwise, like if you go to say, do your cardio that I was just telling you about, you'll feel guilty because you're like, oh my gosh, there are so many things I could do on my list of things to do right now. Why am I over here? Nope. You have to put yourself on your list of priorities, because you are only as good to others as you are to yourself.
That's a really great thing to think about. I have not thought about that. You know, how often do I not get my workout in, or do I not get something in and I didn't have it on my list? I categorize everything by A, B, and C. And so I need to make that workout the A, which actually is a nice transition. We have a lot of athletes on the call today, both kids and adults, friends of mine who are great athletes, as well as the parents of great athletes. And, you know, one of the things that people can't do right now is train. And so they may have been training for the marathon that got postponed. They might have children that are training and had big hopes and dreams for things. And this is a huge disappointment. And so, again, you've got some really great ideas around what can you do when you can't train like you normally would.
Well, I think that's the biggest distinction. First of all, it's number one, it's not that you can't train. It's that your world is different. So your training has to be different. The resources are different. But let's first look at like what happens to an athlete when all of a sudden it's like this big, huge part of who we are and what we do gets changed. They say that a career-ending or career-threatening injury to an athlete has the psychological impact of the death of a close family member. This is who you are. It's what you do. It's your social circle. It's your time. It's where you feel great about yourself, all of those things. Now, normally what happens when an athlete experiences a traumatic injury like that is it's me, and I've been competing with all of these people, and now I've gotten my progress chopped out from under me, and everybody else gets to work like normal. Mm-hmm. Well, we have to get out of that mindset right now. First of all, every single person around the globe has had their life altered by this. Some more, some less. So you are all on a level playing field. Okay. It may not feel level and it may not be the same, but you are in the same position as everyone else. So you will be, relative to everyone else, a result of what you do during this time. If you sit around and you say, oh, well, I can't go to the gym, so I can't work out right now, then when you get back, yes, they will have an advantage over you. However, workouts did not used to be this complicated. People did not used to have all these fancy gyms and digital this, which means that, first of all, you can tune into a lot of that stuff. But let's just say, for basic sake, that you don't have that budget. I've been teaching kids workouts with zero equipment all for the last 2 weeks, because I had friends who were like, please help my kids. So that's something I put together. I've also been working with another partner of mine who heard that, you know, some of the younger kids weren't getting physical activity assignments. And so they were kind of driving their kids crazy. So I've been working on putting some kids programs together that would be really fun and easy to do. And I'm talking with this is the one I was telling you about. I'm working with a partner, Caribou, that is a great tool for any of you parents. You can take a Caribou break. You can read remotely. It puts the books in there and you can like flip the pages and read if you're not there. So if you're feeling social distancing from young kids with your grandparents or whatever, Caribou's great. But we're going to give them some physical programs that you could then do. And so I came up with a program for that. And so the truth is that you can get really creative and be really good in a really small space. You don't need all of that equipment, but everybody's in the same boat. So you can't say, why me, or why did this happen to me? Because that's happening to everybody. And the why me mentality is the worst thing that you can do right now. It is an us mentality. This is, we're all in it together. We all have great gifts that we can bring to the table. Like, for example, if somebody is a really amazing animator and they are feeling bored, they should just call me, because I have ideas for days. But that's not necessarily my skill set. But there's stuff that we can all do. So in your house, find a place that you can make a space. Make it motivational, make it aspirational, put up some pictures and reminders of what you are capable of as an athlete. I don't care if it's a small space. You can stretch, you can do body weight exercises, you can get some weights, you can do agility drills. All of those things require no budget and just you committing to do it. So there are a lot of things that you can do, and you have to make the commitment to do them. Also, there's visualization.
Jen, you had talked about earlier creating new patterns, and that we're habits of creatures of habit and creatures of patterns, and that all of our patterns have been changed, and that's also mentally destabilizing for all of us. So the sooner you create that new pattern, and that might have to do with a workout outside. Right now Rebecca LaCava is my coach. She's on there. She's actually making comments that she says these things to me too about making priorities. So yes, Rebecca, we know, we know. But I see her saying, go out in the woods and do push-ups against a log, or go for this run, or do things that, again, you're just creating a new habit, but you can do these workouts outside of the gym, whether it's outside or in your house. And
we need it more than ever, right? If it's not a big goal, like, you said competing or this, let me tell you, every single one of us needs the endorphins that come from movement. And if you are feeling bad or you are feeling caged in, part of that is the fact that even if you're not a quote unquote workout person, you move a lot throughout the day normally, whether it's from one office to another, one meeting to another, to your car, to all of this. And that has gone to essentially zero. So you are affected by this too. And even things as simple as setting up your home office so that you can stand when you're working. Or I used to call it walk and talk, because my best ideas come when I'm on the move. So I would take conference calls and, make sure that I was standing up and walking, because the mental energy goes with the physical. So we all need movement, and be intentional about creating those things. Remember, because you are in control of what you do right now. And I know basically the deck of cards that we've all been playing with, right? 52, we know the rules, we know how to shuffle, we know the games that we play. The deck has been thrown up in the air completely right now. Nobody knows the game that we're playing. The rules are different for everyone. And honestly, it's the innovative and the creative that will thrive in this time. It's people who look at the situations and see something that can be done, as opposed to feeling badly about the things that they can't do.
Well, and you talked about failure is scary, but success is addictive. And so if you can just create those little wins, even if it's one every day, I finally cleaned that closet out that has bothered me for 20 years. I finally painted that wall. And I thought you had a really great point. You don't have to remodel your whole house, but it might just be that you want to repaint your bedroom, and you do that. And that's a win. And then that success breeds other success.
And I mean, the reason why people get scared most of the time is because we are such an extremist society where it's like, it's all or nothing. Okay, I got news for you. If it is all or nothing for every single one of us, eventually it will be nothing, right? But if you look at it as, I'm going to do this one thing, and that one thing is a win, right? If your goal is to remodel your whole house, then it's not I either won or I lost based on the fact that I could remodel my whole house. It's I won when I painted that wall. I won when I cleaned out that closet. I won when I put up a new shelf, right? All of those are wins. And that way you're getting away from that all or nothing mentality, because it may be that, you need a new fridge, but you can't do that right now because you need professional help. Well, that doesn't mean that you lost and that all of that work you did was wasted. So a lot of that is a mental shift on how you can create positive momentum in your own life by making it manageable. Yeah.
When I actually get that run in, I do feel like it's a win. I took the time, I did it, and I actually feel so much better. So it's that combination of all of it. The other thing that I really, again, obviously, Jen and I've done some talking before this, and you had so many great points, and I wrote them all down. You talked about visualization and the other importance of what you can't do right now, but how you can visualize it. And, one of the questions that we had was, how does your psychology inspire you or, how do you use that as a coach? So I think that's along those lines. But can you talk to us about that visualization? And with that, we have 5 minutes left. These go really fast. But 5 minutes. If you have other questions, people, just throw them out right now because we're gonna be wrapping up soon. But visualization.
Visualization is allowing yourself to pull in a mental picture or a mental reminder of something that you've done physically. Like for an athlete, it might be going through, like you were talking about gymnasts, going through your floor routine. Make it as real as you possibly can. The sights, the smells, the feelings, write it out, create a mental tape. And every time you do it, add a little detail, because as your mind goes through the routine, and it should be very real, you may even play the same music that you play when you're doing it and play it out in your head. Your body is micro firing, so it's helping through that routine. And there is research that has been done of people who couldn't physically do those things, but were really diligent on their visualization through those times. And they came out of situations where they could then go and do it almost at the same point, if not a little bit better.
What does micro firing mean for people who may not know that?
It means like, if I'm going through a routine in my head, and it required me to flex my bicep, I'm not fully flexing like if I was lifting a huge amount of weight, but there is an electrical transmission and a stimulation on a smaller scale, right? So it's not as big as lifting a car, but there is a similarity and a pattern recognition that does cause a small fire in those muscles.
We have a question, Jen. What is your average day and schedule?
There is no average day, especially right now. And I think that that's something really important for people to remember. Just like everybody else, my life got thrown into chaos. So what I try and do is make sure that certain things happen in every day. I have my workouts I do in every day. I have my emails. I write every day. I call in and check on either text or call at least 5 people who I think may just need it. And then I try and look for some kind of positive news to share, because I think there's too much of a fixation on the negative now. And I've also committed to doing stuff like this, like podcasts, saying yes, because if the knowledge that I have can uplift one other person, then today's a good day.
I'm thinking about some of the takeaways to the day. It doesn't have to be a big grand start. People think this has to be I'm going to do the marathon and I have to have this giant plan. You can hope and want to do things, but just start. Just go out and take a walk or take a run.
You don't eat a pizza in one bite, right? You take a slice, you take a bite, right? So think of it the same way. Everything that you do, create places where you can get wins along the way, because one win builds on another. If you run 1 mile one day and the next time you run 1.1, that's a win, right? You want to psychologically create ways that your brain sees progress and make it measurable, because we have a rear view effect where it's like objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. Right? It kind of looks like it wasn't that hard when you started. You forget where you came from, and you've made a lot more progress a lot of the times than your brain will register. So record those progresses, because especially in a time like this where it may be long and it may seem monotonous, the more reminders of those wins that you have, so that you can remind yourself that you've done great things. And the more tangible it is, the more likely you'll be able to see, recall, and pull back on your progress when you need it and you're not feeling great.
And you realize that you did create that pattern. I also find that surrounding myself by people with the same mentality, we can start holding each other accountable. If we're talking to the people where the sky is falling and they're trying to get their reality on you. Have you got those people who are like, yeah, but this is reality. And I'm like, no, I know, but I can't be in that brain space right now. So I think surrounding yourself by people who are also giving you positive feedback and support and supporting what you're doing every day. And again, holding you accountable is really helpful to that. So we just got asked, where can we read what you are writing. Well, you could probably read it all in Jen's book. So we have links to it. It'll be in the email that goes out later. And not just read the book, but you can listen to the book. When you were talking about listening to it on Audible, actually, I thought you had some really good points about that, about listening to people right now and hearing other voices. So share that.
Yeah. So one of the fun things about Play Big is I actually narrated the audiobook from start to finish. And that came at the request of some of my players. They were like, man, coach, we're so excited. Your book's coming out. We can't wait to get it. But we like audiobooks because we like to listen as we're doing something else. And if it is somebody else's voice, we're going to be really mad because I still hear that raspy voice of yours in our head. And I was like, I don't even know if I can do that. Like, do they let you do that? And about two days later, I got an email from the publisher. And it was like, which one of these people do you want to do it? And I said, none. I want to do it. But right now we're all, the struggle is feeling alone and feeling connected. And even being able to hear someone else's voice in your head, right? It's easy for your mind to wander when you're reading something to the last thing that you heard, or to replay maybe one of those negative conversations that you had in your head or something else. So, find positive voices that you can shift your mindset with. Get lost in a story, right? Really allow yourself to deep dive into stuff that you wouldn't before. So the audiobook might be a great option at this time. Plus you can listen to it while you paint your wall. And then you're multitasking.
And how authentic to listen to your voice. As I mentioned, I've read other athletes' books and was super disappointed that they did the intro and then somebody else was doing the rest of the book. I'm like, I don't want to hear from that guy. I wanted to hear from
who's that guy? Have you ever played this before? No.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to thank everybody. Let me just real quick tell you, where are we? How are we doing? We are 38% of us, which is better than Friday. Friday was 31. 38% are loving working from home and hope they can stay there forever. 38% say it's working well for now. Friday was 44. So that's a little lower. And I can't wait to get back to the office. It's 23% and Friday was 25. So it sounds like we all woke up on Monday morning glad we weren't commuting. So maybe this is all like starting to come together and we're doing okay. And I want to thank everybody for coming today. I want to thank Jen for being on. And I hope you all are doing well, staying safe, listening to what they're saying on the news, though, about staying home the next couple of weeks. The more we do to comply now, the sooner we'll be back out. And join us tomorrow. We have Dave Wedge. He's a New York Times bestseller. If you all saw the movie Patriots Day, he co-wrote the book Boston Strong. And he was also at Ground Zero when at 9/11. He'll be talking about the power of resiliency and what he's studied and what he's seen through the years and how people are resilient and how they come out of tough times. So I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thanks so much.